How many of you are in mourning? Only one? Some of you are not admitting, right? Huh? I know it's pretty discouraging. Yesterday, I had some things to take care of, so at half, the score was tied at half, right? I had some things to take care of, and I got to the church, and Ron tells me, aren't you forgetting something? And I had forgotten about setting up the tables and everything. So after we put all the Christmas stuff away, with Ramona and Ken's help getting the place cleaned up, and getting the tables all set up, I got home, and I thought the game would be all over with. And it was in the second overtime, I think. And Anita says, "You're missing the whole thing." And of course, those of you who watched the game know what happened. Now after Nebraska losing and now the Broncos losing, might be time to just give up it all. No, you don't just give up something just because they lose, right? Life goes on, and so that's pretty exciting. Now I don't know what happened to my program here, but don't you just love modern day technology? If you kind of was wondering what was happening during the songs, Send the Light, you know, I don't know if it's the devil doing it, but there's a virus in the computer that's causing all that. So hopefully we can get things all fixed up so that we don't have that problem anymore. Yeah, right. If you know anything about technology, we'll have problems again in the future. But you know what? I've been to other churches and they've had problems too, so we're not the only ones. This week, Gino Rufo I was helping him with his gutters. He has his gutters that dripped water right on his porch and is icing up, and somebody had fallen, so I told him I'd help take these gutters down. And while we were over there, Gene says, "You know what, I got a couple of cell phones that I don't use anymore. Can you use them?" I said, "Sure. You know, I have an old phone, and Ron's phone, he can't even dial out. And he's been about a year without a phone that can't dial out. I had one that I thought I was going to get to use, but that didn't work. Again, technology, you know, it's good when it works, but it's not good when it doesn't work. Anyways, I told my wife that I was going to give Ron one phone and I was going to use the other phone, and she goes, "Well, you know, I'd like to have one of those smartphones." Because I know it costs more for smartphones. Anyways, I went to Verizon and we got Ron all set up, and I'm modern now. I don't know how to use it. Sometimes it's even hard to figure out how to answer that phone. But you know, the neat thing about it is now my wife, I can get a hold of my wife, and my wife can get a hold of me anytime because we can text. That's really exciting because, you know, on our way home we went to the Send the Summit Challenge, forum this weekend. Marie was gracious enough to go and represent us. And so on the way back, well, before, you know, my wife texts us and says, "Where are you?" And, you know, when I left, she was still sleeping, of course. But I says, "I'm at Summit Christian College." And she goes, "Oh, I forgot." Then later on, I get this text and say, "You better come home early." No, I've never had that before, when my wife told me what to do. But the interesting thing is now, I know that I can actually call her and get a hold of her because, you know, I have a mother-in-law that likes to, you know, she can't get a hold of Anita because the phones were out in town and charter was not working. And anyways, every time she can't get a hold of Anita, she would call me. And of course, I'm in a meeting, so I don't answer the phone. Then I get distracted phone calls. But anyways, yesterday was, I'm getting all my days all mixed up. Friday was a really interesting thing. We had the forum, which, you know, we were to choose the nominees of who would receive that full scholarship. But before I go into that, I'd like to kind of read this email that I got. They said just recently they found over 200 dead cows near, I had to look up how you say this, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And there was a concern that they may have died from the avian flu virus. A bird pathologist examined the remains of all the cows, and he confirmed the problem was definitely not avian flu, to everyone's relief. However, he was also able to determine that 98% of the cows had been killed by impact with large trucks, and that only 2% were killed by car impact. Anyways, now you guys understand what's happening, right? It's crows. Anyways, the province of Ontario hired an ornithological behaviorist to determine the disappropriate percentages for the large truck versus car kills. And then the ornithological behaviorist determined that the cause, in short order, the cows eat roadkill. The crows, I better just quit. The crows eat roadkill. They always set up a lookout crow in a nearby tree to warn impending danger. His conclusion was that the lookout crow could say caw, but they could not say truck. Now you know. I thought that was pretty funny, so I had to share that with you. If I could get just the story right, it's not cows, because cows don't fly onto the road, right? Although sometimes you see them on the road. We want to talk today about giving honor. And you know, yes, Friday, David Parrish gave a little devotion about how we, in our today's society, if we want to change things, we have to learn to give honor. And you know, I'm thinking about, okay, that sounds like a good thing. And he talked about how when we give honor, like God gave honor, he was talking about how there's a guy named Sap, and he has all these gas stations all around. How many of you ever stopped at a Sap service station before? Or they don't call it service stations anymore, convenience stores. But because of David Parrish sharing the Ascend the Summit challenge program that they've installed, this person, who is a godly person, a Christian person, was excited about it, and he has blessed the college with funds. And in fact, he went on talking to another business person, and they also donated to the college. And now we need to remember that they're not taking the general fund money to fund the Ascend the Summit. Now, for those of you who do not know what Ascend the Summit Challenge is, we have 2 girls at college right now that have received a full 1-year full ride scholarship, including the cost of the dormitory. Now, that would amount to be about $7,000 that they're getting. But if you really think about it, they say that what it actually costs, because there's a lot of churches that support the college, it really costs about $20,000 is the award that we're giving to the nominee that is selected for the Ascend the Summit. And last week, Emily gave a presentation on what they did on that adventure, and it's really a blessing to see this program. But you know, the David Parrish's concept of Ascend the Summit is that, you know, we need to start honoring our young people. And we don't tend to do that enough, I believe. And so he believes that, you know, we as a congregation need to look at our youth and start right now for next year's Ascend the Summit, and think of who among our young people are worthy, and honor to have a full 1-year ride scholarship if they're chosen. And you know, when I thought about it, there were only six nominees among 70-something potential churches that support the college. And I thought, they don't have a clue what this is worth. If they realize that if they will just submit, we can have up to 15 people nominated for a full ride scholarship, and there's only a small group of people there at the forum Friday. And so one of the things that he did is he read from Exodus, and I want to read that to you. It says, "Have Aaron your brother brought to you from among the Israelites, among his sons Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, so that they may serve me as priests. Make sacred garments for your brother Aaron to give him dignity and honor. Tell all the skilled workers to whom I have given wisdom in such matters that they are to make garments for Aaron for his consecration, so he may serve me as priests." These are the garments they are to make: a breastpiece, an ephod, a robe, a woven tunic, a turban, and a sash. And they are to make these sacred garments for your brother Aaron and his sons, so they may serve me as priests. Have them use gold and blue and purple and scarlet yarn and fine linen. Now, I don't know if you understand the background of the selection of who God wanted as priests to be set aside to be the ones that offered the sacrifices for the Israelites. And God wanted to honor these people that were going to offer these sacrifices because they were going to come before him, a holy God. And he wanted to honor them by giving them a special type of clothing. And I went on the internet and I found this picture here. And I wish I could have actually seen the garment that God has specifically, and it goes on in Exodus, describing by detail how God wanted them to design this garment, to put it together using skilled workers and sparing no expense, gold, fine linen, all the different gems that were placed in the ephod, representing the 12 tribes. And I thought, well, some of you might have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark when you saw the priest, right? But, you know, I think that it must have been something pretty spectacular. But God wanted these priests honored. And in the same way, we need to be people that are willing to honor people. And when I thought about it, I think, okay, what does honor mean? What does it do? And you know, when you hear of maybe a student that is on honor roll, they have done something good to achieve the honor roll. They worked hard, they had good grades. We hear the National Honor Society, you know, where we have a group of students that have achieved good grades, and so they belong into this honor society. And when we go to graduation, we see them wearing an honor, a sash that shows that they are in the National Honor Society. We have servicemen that fight and give their lives, and some of them receive the Medal of Honor, the Presidential Medal of Honor, or they might receive the Purple Heart, an honor. And you know, sometimes I think that we don't honor people. Maybe not because we don't want to, it's just because we don't get into the habit of honoring people. And the Apostle Paul says in Romans 13, this is also why you pay taxes for the authorities. Authorities are God's servants who give their full time to govern. Give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another. For whoever loves others have fulfilled the law. And when I think about this thing of honor, I think it goes hand in hand with love and respect. Because one of the commandments, the greatest commandment of all is what? To love, right? Who? The Lord your God. How? With everything you got. Your heart, your soul, and your mind. And we actually are honoring God when we love Him with everything we got. When I go play cards, we sit down and we talk. Roy, he mentioned that this lady came in and he donned his hat. He tipped his hat. And it brought this lady to tears. And I didn't understand why it would mean so much for a simple gesture to bring someone to tears. But then, as I studied a little bit about what it means, because I haven't been brought up in a culture to tip your hat. Now, I've heard that, I've been to a lot of events where the kids don't take off their hat in a building. I'm wondering, well, that's not something in the Bible. No, it's not something in the Bible that has to do with taking your hat off. So I did some research, and it says to don your hat, this means to put it on. And to doff your hat, it means to take it off. To tip your hat, it means to grab the rim of the hat and lift it up slightly, or to grab the rim of the hat and gently tug forward with your index finger and your thumb. Grab the crown of your hat. This is the top of the hat that is bow-like. And now, let's understand the methods by which you don and doff your hat. To don your hat, grab the crown and place the hat on top of your head. To doff your hat, grab the crown and lift it up and bring it forward. Keep the interior of the hat facing towards you, not to expose it outwards. Understand the situations when you don your hat or leave it on after you have donned it. Now you don your hat when you go outside. You put your hat back on when you go outside. Leave your hat on while you're in a lobby or an elevator of a building. Don your hat after conversation with the lady or group of ladies. Leave your hat on in a large public arena. And understand the situations when you tip your hat. Tip your hat to an acquaintance of any gender when in public. No need to doff your hat unless you start a conversation. Tip your hat when meeting a male friend or acquaintance or a group of males. Tip your hat when leaving the same friend or group. Understand the situations when you doff your hat or leave it off after you have doffed it. Doff your hat when you come inside. Now there it is. When you come into the building, you doff your hat, you take it off, you remove your hat. Now how many of you honestly can say that you knew this? Okay, how many of you didn't know that? Okay, I was expecting the younger ones to. See, I didn't grow up in a culture like that, and I was wondering, where did they get this this idea of taking off the hat? But now I know. And there's a lot of this this etiquette that sometimes I think we expect people to know the etiquette when they've never been taught. Leave your hat off when in private or intimate settings as a party or a box seats. And then understand the situations when you doff your hat, leave it off after you've doffed it. Doff your hat when coming into the presence of a dignitary or important individual of any gender. This can be someone like the mayor or someone like the President of the United States. It indicates deference, respect, and humble approach. So when I think about this etiquette,